Everybody knows that if you're into the metals, you gotta know your way around a dang demolished arpeggio. On today's lesson, I'm gonna be showing you guys a few tips and tricks to make them sound even more diabolical. And some weird hybrid picking stuff too. Well, hey there, Kinder Kids, and welcome to this week's installment of Weekend Wankshop. Here's your best buddy, Uncle Ben. Listen now, guys, the simple truth here is if you want to bring the metal might of Mephistopheles into your guitar solos, you gotta know your way around a diminished 7 arpeggio. Fortunately for us guitaristas in service of the Dark Lord, diminished 7 arpeggios are actually really easy to play on the guitar. All you have to do is throw the horns, put them on your guitar, go up a fret, keep going, more of that, 2 frets this time, and there you go. But as with all things, variety is the spice of life, and a lot of times hearing those things getting played straight up and down can get kind of monotonous. On today's lesson, I'm going to show you guys a lick that I made up to demonstrate to you all how I link together diminished arpeggio shapes and use a little bit of chromaticism to spice them up and make them sound even more sinister. But as always, before we get into the lesson, let's hear that again at stepdad speed. And as always, you guys can find a full tab for this week's lesson over on my Instagram page at Ben Eller Guitars. Just search for Weekend Wankshop 225. Find the tab, learn how to play this hot lick, then upload a video of yourself shredding through it, along with the hashtag Weekend Wankshop. And of course, downloadable tabs and the backing track that I used at the first of this video are available to my Patreon members. So be sure to go over to patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. Check out my page, drop me some support, and start reaping the benefits.
Thanks.
The recipe to make a diminished 7 arpeggio couldn't be easier. All you gotta do is take a note like E, add in the note 3 frets or a minor third above it, add in the note 3 frets above that one, 3 frets above that one, and then if you go up 3 more frets, you're back at the octave of where you started at E. So it's just this simple minor thirds, or again 3 fret kind of spaces formula. And like I said earlier, the cool thing about that is when you take it across the strings, it just basically amounts to using your 1st and 4th fingers, moving up a fret at a time, going across the strings, making a 2 fret jump for the stupid B string. The lick that we're going to be talking about today utilizes that shape in a descending kind of way, and rather than just playing it straight, the first thing that I did here is to add in a little bit of sequencing, for one, to make it last longer, and also just make it more melodically interesting. This is based around a descending 3s pattern, where essentially what you end up doing is going down 3 notes in the arpeggio, and then you go back 1. Then you go back, and so on. But because so many people use that particular pattern, I wanted to spice this up and show you guys a little bit of variety that you can add into here by using some chromaticism. I'm going to show you guys how to play the lick first, and then we'll talk about the picking and stuff. That way you can get the shapes under your left hand before you start worrying about the right hand. So to start with, what we're going to do here is to play the 12 on the high E, pulling off to 9. Then play the 11 on the B. That's your first group of 3 notes. Then just like the descending 3s thing, we're going to go back a note here to that 9th fret on the high E. Then on the B string, play 11 and A. So now you have this. Next, we're going to go back to that 11th on the B, pulling to A, and then the 9 on the G, okay? So you kind of have 3 segments of descending 3s. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now right here, this is where I add in a little chromaticism, and all I'm doing right here is I'm adding in the 8, 9, and 10 on the B string, and that's going to resolve to the 11th fret, which is back into the arpeggio with the next sequence here. Basically taking that kind of like, you know, again, horns framework and playing connect the dots is a cool thing that you can do with your diminished arpeggio stuff, and you can really sneak that in basically anywhere. Just to add a little bit of spice into it. That's something that, if I recall, my good buddy Emil Wursler showed me how to do while we were on tour a couple of years ago, and he picked it up from a lot of the gypsy jazz giants like Django Reinhardt and guys like that. Really cool trick you can add into your diminished playing to make it more interesting. So our entire first 4 beats of this phrase are going to go like this. So again, it's 3 descending 3s, then a chromatic walk up. And then after that, we're going to get to the second part here, which is pretty much the same idea, just moving through the arpeggio. Start off here on the 11th B, pulling to 8, 9th G. Here's our next set of 3 notes here. We're going to play 8 on the B, 9, then 6 on the G. So that's, again, there's an extra little stretch right there because we're going from the B to the G string. It's always a pain in the ass. Then we're going to play 9 pulling to 6 on the G, 8 on the D. So now you have this. And this is where the ascending chromatic thing is going to come back into play again here. On the G, play 6, 7, 8. Okay? And at this point, we're just going to do straight descending 3s down the rest of the arpeggio here. So I'm playing the 9 on the G, pulling to 6, 8D, back to 6G. On the D string here, play 2 notes. You're going to play 8 and 5. Okay. Next, we're going to play. So this is the 8 on the D here, pulling to 5. 7th A, 5th D, then 7, 4 on the A. Okay, so that's just. And then the last part here, we're going to play the 7 pulling to 4 on the A string, 6 on the E, 4A, 6, 3 on the E string, and then lastly ending with E, the root note, like that. So creating an evil twin harmony for your diminished licks is really, really easy, because basically due to the symmetrical nature of a diminished 7 chord, how we said it's just 3 fret kind of spaces, writing harmonies for diminished licks is super easy, because basically all you got to do is play the exact same stuff, just moved up 3 frets higher or 3 frets lower. Again, because it's symmetrical, it just kind of repeats itself in 3s, you know? So basically the harmony part that I played there in the intro is the exact same lick, it's just moved up 3 frets higher. So it's starting off here on the 15 and 12 on the high E like this. Again, same chromaticism, same everything. Notice there at the end it was 9, 6, 3. Again, guitar 1 ended on 0 or open, so I need to end on 3. It's always just 3 frets higher. Really super simple. Now picking through that can be pretty challenging. If you straight up alternate pick this, that'd be a great kind of cross picking exercise, you know. But myself, I like the sound of the combination of the picked notes, the pull-offs, and the hybrid plucked notes that we're using in here. I think that kind of adds some nice contour to the lick rather than making every single note sound exactly the same. I'm going to give you guys a close-up look at my right hand so you can see how I'm negotiating all the hybrid picked parts and stuff in here. But ultimately, if you didn't want to hybrid pick this, you could always just use an upstroke instead. I just prefer to give licks like this the middle finger and get around the string skipping and stuff like that using hybrid picking. Weird, wild stuff. So essentially what I've got going on right here is I'm starting off with a hybrid picked note on the high E string, then doing a pull off. A downstroke, another hybrid picked note. Now you'll notice the reason I'm doing that is to keep my pick from having to go back and forth between those 2 strings a whole bunch, you know? Basically, if I was doing it all picked, my pick would already be moving 3 times back and forth between those strings, whereas with my middle finger, you can see that my picking just kind of sits on the B string exclusively. Makes it a lot easier. Then I gotta play down, up. So far you should have middle, pull, down, up. Middle, pull, down, up. The next sequence gets played like this. Okay, this is a little different here. I'm doing a downstroke with a pull off, another downstroke, middle, down, up. So it's down, pull, down, middle, down, up. Down, pull, down, middle, down, up, like that. That'll be pretty weird to a lot of you guys, but that's something I tend to do a lot of times with my playing, is like let my middle finger get to the new string before my pick does. Stuff like that. You can see how this guy kind of gave my pick enough time to get there to pick those last 2 notes, you know? That's something I do a lot with my playing. Again, you could just replace that with an upstroke if you wanted to. and that's fine, but I kind of like to use this combination of hybrid stuff, so yeah, your mileage may vary. So the whole sequence so far is middle, pull, down, middle, down, up, down, pull, down, middle, down, up. Do the next sequence the exact same way. Middle, pull, down, middle, down, up, down, pull, down, middle, down, up. The rest of the lick is the descending threes, and I play it like this. So this is down, pull, down, middle, down, up. That's it in a nutshell right there. Down, pull, down, middle, down, up. Again, the single middle finger right there keeps me from having to return to the G string. It's almost like once I'm on the D string, I never have to go back like that right there, you know? Saves me a little movement. So down, pull, down, middle, down, up. Down, pull, down, middle, down, up. Down, pull, down, middle, down, up, down. And that's the entire thing. So there you go, guys, a fiendish and diabolical lick that'll have you getting to be good buddies with Old Scratch in no time. Thanks as always for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for brand new lessons coming at you every single week. You all can also follow me on Instagram at Ben Eller Guitars or my Facebook fan page at facebook.com/Uncle Ben Eller. And don't forget, if you like what you see, to support me on Patreon over at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. Thanks again for tuning in. Now get off of YouTube and go play some freaking guitar. Less clicking, more picking.